Peachy.
Shout out, man, to Worldwide Collaborations, man.
I want to shout out Worldwide Collaborations LLC.
Shout out to the Worldwide Collaborations LLC.
World movement, beyond thousands of movements.
The world movement, beyond thousands of movements.
All about representing each other together. So check this out.
What's up? You want to be a part of this? You want to be a part of the Worldwide Collaboration?
You guys should all be a part of Worldwide Collaboration.
Worldwide Collaborations LLC. Check us out, man, and check what's going on, man. Word up. I have recently been choosing to be a spokesman and an ambassador, so you will see a lot more of me. Join the movement, man. It's beyond thousands of movements right now and talents put together, all about representing each other together.
I want to join, so I might see you there. All right, much success.
It is a worldwide collaboration song.
Yeah. Look, brainstorming, creating, thinking of new ideas, inventing inventions, representing everything, having members collaborate. Worldwide collaborations, ongoing visualizations, programming operations, bringing everyone together equals more motivation. In the situation we live in, there is no concentration. All the people in the world, but no consideration for everyone making excuses, complaining, completely ignoring everything you were saying, possibly because there is no participation. What is everyone really doing? Why are they waiting, sitting there thinking, but no motive or knowing, no knowledge? They never been to college. They lost connection, not connecting or networking, losing is confusing. Worldwide collaboration, changing the game through every nation. Step in the conversation, aim for amazing. Cause this more than observation, more than reputation.
Hello and welcome back to another star-studded episode of the Chatterbox with King Jacob, and I am your host, King Jacob. And tonight we have another star-studded episode with a very, very important guest who's changing lives of children and creating the balance to bring parents in to understand that balance of creative writing and to keep them knowledgeable about, the type of language, that Black children should be speaking, and just to uplift them and to get them to the next level with his form of creative writing and his authorism, and as well as him teaching them something different that they can take throughout their lives daily. So none other than yours truly, author, public figure, community innovator, librarian, Mr. Rodney Freeman Jr.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And shout out to your PR, Miss Desiree Benson. That's my girl. We rock, and she definitely is the truth. You know what I mean? Yeah. So shout out to her. And like I said last night, she don't act like she a big deal, but she's definitely a big deal all the way live. So, shout out to her as well. So, all right, man. So, for inquiring minds that want to know, I want to know, I'm pretty sure a lot of other people want to know, man, who is Rodney Freeman Jr.?
That's a loaded question, right? It depends on when you ask me that, at what age, at what day, whether I had something to eat or not, or I'm reading a book. Rodney Freeman, though, is a very introspective person. I like to think. I have a lot of, when it comes to, you see some of my book ideas, but when it comes to writing, I have a lot of ideas about that. But I also have a lot of ideas for Black folks, right? And that's one of the reasons why we started the Black Male Archives and Powerful Women of Color. But I have this passion for preserving our history and our knowledge and sharing that with our kids, my kids, so they can be able to understand where they came from. So and I'm from the South Side of Chicago. Grew up there, but also I grew up out in LA. Moved out to California when I was young from there, we moved to across the country. My dad was an engineer. He worked for Northrop and McDonnell Douglas. So we moved around the country a lot, and got to see a lot of different perspectives. You know, once I got older, I was able to, you know, be able to go to, you know, another country, and then I was able to get into my career field, fell into library science. Who wants to be a librarian? Like, I wanted to be a lawyer, but I was just like, well, I really want to do information, you know. So I mean, at that point, I was considered a nerd, right? And hey, I wear that with a badge because I fell in love with information. So hey, you know, I love it there. So
Okay. And thank you for tapping in with us, Ms. Desiree Benson. And we were just talking about you. I stated as what I stated last night, that you're a phenomenal person. You are a big deal, but you would be humble and say, you know, I'm just Desiree. Nah, stop it, sweetie. You're definitely a big deal. We see you out here moving and grooving, and you're making an impactful front, and you know, having people understanding that nothing is impossible. When you understand the possible is always possible. So we salute you for
yes,
that.
we
You
do.
know,
Yes.
you know, publicists, you know, journalists, you know, contributing writer, you know, just so many things that you do. And most of all, you love people. And
Yeah.
and you definitely, you know, have that favor upon your life. And so I just thank you for definitely allowing me to interview your clients, and I thank you for, you know, just being who you are, man. Salute to you.
Yes, Desiree. Hats off. Hats off. Definitely appreciate you.
hmm So, you know, what's interesting to me, you know, I'm on several podcasts, as you know. So I have a partner in Atlanta. We have 95 South podcast, and it's more like a community podcast. And we have 901 Sports podcast, where we interview from Pop Warner all the way to collegiate athletes to Division I, Division II, Division III coaches, and some professional athletes. But what's so interesting about the Chatterbox is, um, I was talking to my boy. I said, man, I want to start a podcast, man. He's like, what you want to name it? I said, man, throw some names out there. I said, man. He said, man, how about the Chatterbox with King Jacob? And he said, you know, you talk to a lot of people, you network a lot, man, and you know, you chat with a lot of people. So how about just bringing the Chatterbox to full tuition, full light, and here we are. So with you though, library science, you know, like I said, I talk to a lot of people, man, school teachers, um, you know, people on the school board, the superintendent of education, principals, assistant principals, football coaches, you know, custodians at school, a lot of people. But if I remember, my librarian when I was in middle school, Miss Brown, was the dopest person in the world.
Yeah.
Like she did everything. We used to tell her, man, Miss Brown, why you don't teach? We need you in the classroom with us. She said, don't worry about it. We can make our own classroom, whatever you need help with. Any books you want to check out, if you want me to break them down to you. Yep. And she used to have like 20 of us in there at one time, man, and just tell us about different stuff, world history, our history, you know, telling us about, you know, how so many Black people ran this country. When she said, what I mean by running the country, if Black people hadn't put their hands together and built stuff in this country, there would be no America. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so she used to explain that to us. So, you know, when you say library science, in my mind, it says information technology systems. Because when you a librarian, you know a lot of information that the average person don't know. And so can you break down, you know, library science and what it means to you, and how do you describe that to others?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Library science is a science, right? Because when you come up with a system to be able to access information, that's at the core of everything. That's what the catalog is. That's what, what you use, the databases that you search in. They are systems for you to access information. And in order for you to access that information, it has to be given names, right? So let's just break it down like that. If you do not name something, think about when you naming a file and you put it on your desktop, like, what did I name that? And where did I put that thing at? You can't find it. If you don't remember the name, you don't remember where you put it at, you can't find it. So if you think about it like that, being able to come up with the system where you can recall information, that's basically what library science is. And believe you me, it's a big deal. The Library of Congress is the authority for naming everything. So take, for instance, there was this news story that was out there that was it was the headline was the new name for the Tulsa race massacre. That's the new name. It was called the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riot, and they changed the name to Tulsa, Oklahoma race massacre.
Right. I'm very familiar.
Right. So that's a big deal. So now everything that's in libraries, that's in information, it goes up under that new name because the Library of Congress deemed it so, right? And of course, there's a lot of information behind why they changed the name, but that is basically what library science is: being able to come up with classification systems so you can recall information and pull and access that information.
So it just seems like to me you work with a lot of kids in your day, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah. I used to be in public libraries. Yeah.
So if people understand a person like yourself, there's a lot of what we call organizational leadership skills. There's a lot of things that we will call sequence structure, because things have to be in order, sequence, you know what I mean? And there's a lot of literature education, just like when people look at a book and they want to know more about it, and they look at the back part of the book and it kind of gives them an outline what they'll be reading, but they don't quite understand it. A person like you, of your knowledge, about books and how they're structurized and how the creative writing process kind of, reels in the membrane of the youth, of the younger generation. And so when you can break all that down and people can pay close attention, that's called organizational leadership, because you're organizing their mind to get a synopsis of what they're reading, and they're paying attention to you because you have everybody's undivided attention. So that's where the leadership skills come in at. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree to, I feel like what I do, it again, we at the core help people find and access the information, and sometimes it's through books, sometimes it's through digital formats, sometimes it's through research, so it's really about being able to help people find that information. So yeah, at certain points we are having to provide structures and become what we call program managers and project managers, and provide that overarching organizational leadership like you were talking about. But yeah, at its core, providing that information and being able to access that information. That's the thing that I think that is at the core of library science, being a librarian, and just being able to access that information.
Right. So what is the most challenging thing that you have faced as far as library science? That now that you look back on it, you be like, man, I got through that, but there were some challenges. But it taught me something that, you know, I can give to others as well.
Yeah, you know, I'm laughing because it is not really the library that is the challenging part, but with the way our society is right now, dealing with microaggressions, dealing with, you know, people's ability to, or prejudice, or ability not to see us as black men, and, you know, or us to see, you know, have some preconceived notion of who I am before even getting to know me. I think dealing with people sometimes, colleagues and sometimes patrons and people who come into the library, could be challenging, you know. The helping people and being able to access the information, I think that's the love and that's the passion of why I got into the library world. But sometimes the challenges come from, you know, being in administration, you know, and having to deal with all this other stuff instead of dealing with the job, you know. um yeah, I think that's been the biggest thing about my career. You know, I love the fact of just, you know, accessing information and coming up with strategies on how to get it to people. I love that type of stuff, right? You know,
Mhm.
but I don't love the politics, and I don't love the some of the racism that goes on, and, you know, I don't love that stuff. I don't like dealing with that.
Right. So I was just going to ask you, and you spoke a little bit on it, the balance of education, religion, and political issues. You
Hmm.
as a librarian, and you getting a lot of literature
Hmm.
before even touch the market and stuff like
Yeah.
that, man. So when you have these
Yeah. Yeah.
discussions with your peers, with your community, you know, with your church family, with your immediate family, what are those conversations like for you? Cause you have looked at it from a different perspective.
Right. So my morals come up, right? You know, I was I was raised in the church, you know.
Excuse me.
Um I was I'm very I have my faith, but I don't let that, when it comes to accessing information, you know, I don't like censorship at all. Don't agree with it. I don't care in any form. Now, I'm a father. I'm a dad. So you
Mhm.
best believe I'm gonna tell my daughter, my child, what she can and what she can't read, and what she can and what she can't do. Right. And I think that's every parent's prerogative. But, you know, when it comes to telling a grown adult what they can and what they can read and what they can access, you know, that's where, you know, because that's the reason why we have this knowledge, is so everybody can have these divergent opinions. That's how you grow, you know,
Right.
because you're able to access, you know, different sides of the coin, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, so when I have those type of conversations, you know, I'm encouraging the people to go out and find information, pros and cons, either side, find a holistic narrative. Don't just, you know, because look, you know, if I looked at the media about black men, I would have one side. You know, I want to make sure that people have that holistic narratives. They see black men as fathers, sons, brothers, artists, all that type of stuff. So yeah, when I have those conversations with the community, I'm encouraging them, and I'm also encouraging them to make sure that they preserve their own information. Sometimes people don't understand that the family that they come from and the information that they have is valuable, or can be valuable one day, you know.
Mhm.
So, you know, I'm also making sure that people understand that, you know, controlling your own story and your own narrative, telling it the way that you want it instead of somebody else telling it about you. You know, that's
Right.
very important. So having those type of conversations.
Okay. 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 So being in library science, and being a black man walking on American soil,
Mhm.
there's a lot of things that people feel that we shouldn't say. You know,
Right.
because
Yeah.
I was looking at an interview about Don Lemon, and and the interview that got him fired. And I was like, so how could this Indian dude tell Don Lemon about black people when he haven't walked in any type of shoes of black people? You don't really know how black people have been ridiculed and persecuted and did so wrong, and he was just trying to get him to see the objective of what a black man is speaking upon. And so how do you feel about things like that, man? You know, that cause us to lose a job and cause us to really sacrifice our well-being? Do you think things should be said, or is there a time and place for everything, or should it be said to the forefront like he did, so the world can see it?
I think he was right. That's a short answer. I think he should have, what the kids say, check. I think he should have basically told him, yeah, no, you're wrong. And I think, when it comes time for when lies are being told and they're not being called out for what they are, then that comes back on us, and we can't just sit there and tolerate that. No, it wasn't the NRA that helped black folks. That's a lie.
You're definitely right. That's a lie. That's a bold lie.
Right. So, I mean, if Don Lemon got fired because of that, I'm on Don Lemon's team.
Right.
Because he's calling out a bold-faced lie. And I work in history and archives. That's a lie. So consider me the expert. Because I when he said that, I was like, wait, what? NRA? The NRA, when you had Charleston Heston, the head of NRA, and was talking about there was too many minorities. People don't. Yeah, they need to go back and read what Charlton Heston, when he was the head of NRA, what he said. So yeah, Don Lemon did the right thing.
Okay. My man. I love it.
Yeah. That's the thing about, that's when I'm talking about this access to information and being able to tell a story. That is the reason why I started the Black Male Archives, because no, you're not going to be able to tell me what my story is. You're not going to be able to tell me what my narrative is, because I'm capturing all these stories. So one day, far, far away, when somebody says, well, you know what? I've never seen a black man become an animator because they just don't want to become animators, or black people don't want to be skateboarders. Well, guess what? We have a whole database that can show you all the different stories that you want to about us, positive stories. Because if you leave it up to other people to tell your story, they're going to tell it the way they want to tell it. Simple as that. So we got to be able to tell our own story.
That's right. And so tell me about, you have two different groups. You have the Black Male Archives, and you have one for females as well, correct?
Yeah, powerful women of color, yes. Okay,
so go ahead and spring some knowledge on me about both groups and enlighten me, please.
Yeah. So at its core, these are platforms where people can find holistic narrative about Black men and women. That's the simplest version, right? Okay. So we're able to access these stories. So I am a librarian. I'm a cataloger. And so basically a cataloger is somebody who classifies material information, what we call metadata, which is descriptions of information. So what I've done with the database is actually developed a platform where people can then go in and they can search for anything. I remember when I was out doing a community event, and a guy came up to my table and was like, I bet you don't have anything that I'm interested in there. I was like, what? Okay, try me. He said drag racing. Okay, let's look in the database. Let's see. We pulled up a black man who's drag racing with one arm.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You can come in here, you can find information about Afro Latinas, you can find Afro Latino, you can find information about, you know, black men in Canada, in Africa, Caribbeans, wherever, you know, you can find anything, you know, drag racers, scientists, engineers, whatever you want to, people who are diving in the ocean, right?
So
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you're on this podcast with me tonight, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is you're the type of person that every black person should be connected with in some type of way, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm a country boy. I'm from South Carolina.
Yeah.
So when I read up on agriculture, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only 2% black farmers in America. And when I was growing up under my grandparents, that was 47%. And, and so I just like to know more about, you know, the black agriculturalists, you know, and where are they? And who can I research to enlighten me on, you know, because I can tell people when I was younger, we ate from the earth because both of my grandmothers always had gardens. You know, we ate from the earth. And I can't remember, you know, when I was younger, I can't remember my grandmothers ever getting sick, man. Like one lived to be 88 and one lived to be 91.
Right.
That's a long. You living a long time.
Yeah, because they ate clean. They ate clean.
Right. And so that I think the agriculture in American society is something that black people has forgotten about. You know what I mean? And I think with a person like you, if they ask you and sit down and talk with you, you can pull up tons of stuff on black agriculturalists.
Most definitely. And you know what? In the beauty of it all, you know, this database is it's a living database. That's what I like to call it. So it continues to grow. So, you know, if we don't have what you looking for, 9 times out of 10 we do. But if we don't have what you're looking for, guess what? It gets added, you know, and it continues to grow. And the way that it's structured is that, you know, when you do, if you have a thought, the way that and that's why it was important too, because, you know, the way I feel like black folks think and are looking at America or looking at information, I feel like that's what I brought to this database, where you can be able to say, hey, you know what? I want to look up farming, or I want to look up something, but you can type that in and be able to find something around that, or can call it up, you know. So that's one of the things that we want to do is, you know, just make it so where it's easy to access the information that you need. But yeah, you know, we want to make sure that people are able to find any type of topics, and if we don't have it, let us know and we'll add it in there. But for the most part, you know, the database is growing right now. We're over in the Black Male Archives, we're over 60,000 items in that database, and it's continued to grow. Powerful Women of Color, we just released that in March, so we're still growing that database. But and then we'll have a third database coming out dealing with family history and genealogy. So, you know, we are continuing to grow the database so people can find the information that they want, because there's a lot of information out there on the web. You know, information overload is real. You know, a lot of people don't look past the first page anymore, you know, when it comes to finding information. So you have to be able to make sure that you have a platform like this where you couldn't find this information out there just by, you know, putting in, you know, farming and get black farmers and stuff like that, right? Because the general internet is going to give you all this other information about farmers, or you put in something like inventors, and then in the black male archives you have all these black inventors. But if you put that out in the general internet, you're going to have all this other type of stuff, right? So we want to make it where you have a platform where you can find just bam, black men, or go to powerful women of color, blam, black women.
And so before we get into Little Rodney, how does one access those two organizations? Because the reason I say I think a person should access both, because of course we want to learn about the men, but I feel like me as a male, I want to learn about the women too, because they are part of me, because I come from a woman. So
right.
So therefore, how can one access and join the group, or be a part of the movement? What does that look like?
Yeah, so basically, online we do have a social media presence. So follow. You can go to Facebook, Instagram, for the Black Male Archives, Powerful Women of Color. You can follow them. Now, to get to the website is just the blackmalearchives.com is the website, and then to the database, you can go to the database from there. In the same way with Powerful Women of Color, you go to powerfulwomenofcolor.com, and then you can go to the database. So those are the two platforms that we have that they can access. And then, like I said, follow us on social media, mostly Instagram and Facebook, and then on LinkedIn for the Black Male Archives.
Okay, so just a question for you, man, because this is so wonderful, man. I had no idea, when Miss Vincent there, she said I have a librarian author I want on your show as well, and I was like, okay, okay, and so I went to research, and I started looking, and I started looking some more, and this blog and this radio station and this, that, and the other. I was like, oh man, this young man must be a big deal. And then, and then, I started reading. I said, oh my, this is phenomenal. So, with that being said, man, is there any way that you would ever start your own library?
That's a good question. Not in the physical sense. We actually are doing a virtual reality library. So that we are building out. We actually have a what we call a beta version for it. So you can, if you go onto the Black Male Archives website and you go to the database, you'll see a demo for our VR library. So we are building that out, where we are actually going to put our content that we have into that VR library. So yes, I would start a library in the VR metaverse type of realm, but not in the physical sense. I've managed libraries. I've I've moved libraries. I've helped build libraries for my job, but I think for right now, I'm focused on that VR library. So yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So, Little Rodney.
Oh yeah,
man, listen, man. Little Rodney. So what amazing storyline. What amazing creative writing. What amazing, a form of journaling, a form, the balance of where the young man talks to the adults and his peers, and he gets people to be open-minded.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Little Rodney.
Yeah, Little Rodney the Librarian. I wanted to be able to show a young black boy as smart, charismatic, a leader, kind, helpful, And so that's what little Rodney is. He's all of that. He's all of that good stuff. I really want to, and he's adventurous. He's got this little quirk where he kind of laughs at his own jokes. That's me.
Okay.
So I just wanted little Rodney to, and again, like I said, I fell in love with information and being a librarian. So I wanted that to come out, and so that's how we came up with little Rodney. And if you when you see the cover art, I threw a throwback on it where he has this glove that's on his hand. That's just kind of like his computer glove. It's a throwback to the 80s, guys. So,
Right. Of course. Okay, I can understand that. So,
yeah.
Upon you writing it, man, and like mentally, emotionally, and just from mental, emotional, education forum and stuff, man. Like, what space was you in? Because when you're in your writing in your creative space, it's like you block it's like you block everything, everybody out. And so, how long did you have to stay in that space to be creative? Until you finished the book.
Yeah, not that long, but I was, I remember. I had the idea I was like, oh, I'm gonna write this because I wrote my first book called Daddy Let's Play. And I remember talking to my barber, and he was just like, well, you got an idea, go ahead and write it. And I remember the space I was in for that was just kind of like euphoria, right? I was just like, oh man, this is awesome. But for little Rodney, I remember just diving into it. I wrote that in a day. I wrote it in a day. I was done. Now, of course, the editing process took longer, but I mean, just the sheer outline for the story and everything, I wrote that in a day. And I was just like, I knew, I mean, the adventure and everything. I'm actually having, I'm taking a little bit longer on the second one than I did on the first one because it was just like, I don't know. It was just like, as soon as I said little Rodney the Librarian, I had the adventure already. I was like, I know he's gonna do this and he's gonna do that and I knew how it was gonna end. So it was good. So I was happy. It was, I feel like I'm at peace when I'm writing, So but yeah, you're absolutely right. You do block out everything. So I know I woke up in the morning, I write in the morning, early in the morning. And I got that. It took me a couple hours. I knocked that out, but the editing part now that took a little bit longer, But yeah, writing that initial one, yeah, a day.
Okay, and so once you wrote it and you got it edited and you finished that part and you kind of brought it out, did you have any type of book release party or anything like that?
Not for little Rodney the Librarian. I had more of a book release for the first one. So all of my books and there's a reason behind that. The reason that is because everything goes back to the overarching principle of promoting positive stories about young Black boys, young men, young Black men, powerful women of color. So it all that content then either feeds into the Black male archives or powerful women of color. So we just, when we talk about little Rodney, we're also talking about the database. When we talk about the database, we're also talking about little Rodney. So with this one, what we did, we actually did a book reading with the Charlotte Mecklenburg Library. That was our first release. And then I actually had a good friend who does a book reading online, and we did a book reading with him. But we're slowly, and one of the things is with this is that I want to write the other two, and that's the reason why I'm taking this month of May to get the other two done and get it over to the illustrator, because I really want to have 3 stories that I can really show to people. And we might have something after all 3 are written. We'll definitely have more of a push. I kind of just put this out here and was like, okay, let's tell some people about it. Let me tell my librarian friends. slow but steady type of thing. But yeah, that's where we're at with that.
Okay. Now, like I said, like me and you was talking before we started on the podcast. When I seen that, I said, man, there's nothing on television like this.
Yeah.
There's no informative information on like from a little man's perspective, a young man that's growing up, that's just walking through the trenches and just trying to figure out society, trying to figure out the world. I said, man, this would be so phenomenal on television.
Oh yeah.
And not only would the youth watch it, but I'll be glued to the TV like when next episode coming on. You know what I mean? So man, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to you, definitely making that come to life, man. Because that just can't be a movie. That has to be a whole TV series.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
It's definitely got to be some seasons to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely with you on that. So if anybody out there listening, yes, we definitely have plans to take it there. There's one of the cartoons I watch is called Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. About a little black girl and her dinosaur, and she's a superhero and everything. And I just think it makes, I'm glad we are in this at this stage, where we have a little bit more representation than I did when I was growing up in the 80s, where we had none. so I mean, I'm glad that we're able to, and then we have avenues where we can get our content out there, because that's what it's about, representation, and then owning our own content so we can push that out there.
Right. So with that being said, man, I know you got, the 2 books in May, man. Is there any up and coming events that you may have, man? And is there any people that you want to work with close that you haven't worked with yet?
Yeah. Oh man. So let me answer the first question. First question is, do we have any other projects going on? Yes. I'm in process of we're doing a documentary about Black librarianship. So we are in pre-production phase. We're writing the script. We've done some pre-interviews, and we'll get some footage here shortly, but we're heavily working on that. So that's what I'm doing right now currently. I'm also doing some other projects that I can't really talk too much about because
can't speak on there
was some, but it's some cool stuff, right? It's doing some VR stuff and with virtual reality and augmented reality. So we're working on that. Let's see what else we're doing. I got another documentary that I'm in editing phase. And actually it's about I would like to say a young lady out of Darlington, South Carolina. So I'm working on that, and hopefully we'll get that released by fall this year. But yeah, we just continue to, of course, we're building content and pushing the content out and preserving the culture.
Okay. And so, man, as far as the school system, education system, will we see your book in the education system? Because I know a lot about autism children. I have a nephew that has autism. This really seems like a really, really great classroom read.
Yeah.
Not just only for autism kids, but at least, from Head Start to at least 4th grade. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So will we see you bridge the gap to have this book in the school system as well?
Oh yeah. We definitely are going to be reaching out, and like I said, it's a joint thing, right? We want to reach out with that book and with the database, because we want to hit you with the 1-2. We want to
Right.
basically we want to give you that good, story, fictional story, but we want to give you some real stuff too at the same time,
Right.
So but yeah, we definitely want to get this in the school system. So as much as we can, and they're receiving the message, and they we would definitely want to get this in their hands, in their library system. So yes.
Okay, cool. So without further ado, man, we're almost out of time. So for people who want to reach you, want to follow your movement, want to see what you got going on, what can they reach you at?
Oh yeah, of course. So the Black Male Archives on Facebook, also on Instagram, Powerful Woman Color on Facebook and also on Instagram, and then you can also on YouTube, the Black Male Archives podcast, where I've interviewed so many Black men, which I would love to interview you too as well.
Okay,
so
we can make it happen.
let's do that. Let's do that too. Let's switch roles.
Okay. We can make it happen, man. We can definitely make it happen. So, and give everybody both websites again, where they can go check you out, because we do have West Africa, Ghana watching live today. So, shout out to West Africa for tapping in with us.
Yes. Oh man. Oh, that's beautiful. I said for my 50th birthday, I got to get to Ghana. I want to go. I want to go, and I also want to take my kids. And we don't have that much time, but I can just talk about why we should look to other places to live. But hey, that's another story. But yeah, also the website is the blackmalearchives.com. Of course, you can access the database through the website, and then also powerfulwomenofcolor.com, and you can access the database for Powerful Women of Color as well.
All right. You heard it first. The Chatterbox with none other, the Honorable Rodney Freeman Jr., man. Man, library science, author, a public figure, community innovator, and just a man of purpose, power, passion, and knowledge. We honor him, we salute him, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of great things from him as he inspires us all, so we can all stay inspired. I appreciate you, man. Be blessed, stay encouraged, and most of all, keep God first.
Thank you. Same to you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you for this opportunity.
Yes, sir. Peace and blessings. We out.
All right.